Hello, welcome to this month's Jazz Guitar Addiction Video of the Month. It's a collection of 9 micro lessons from 9 great teachers, and we're based in the Facebook group called Jazz Guitar Addiction. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, just message myself or anyone you see on the video, and we'd be happy to add you. My name is Josh Maxey, and I'm your curator, so thank you. Yeah, I hope you get a lot out of all the lessons. There's a lot of good information. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Samat from assamatLessons.com, and today's lesson is on the A whole tone scale. Now, one thing I like to do is this, like to do sweeps like that, except I'm using it finger style and I do M, M-I-P. And that, so just doing these kind of lines is kind of an interesting way to get kind of rhythmic intensity in the whole tone lines. And I also like to use chromatic passing notes. So here I'm thinking of the whole tone scale, A whole tone, but I'm using the passing note to make it sound less, less diatonic, more chromatic. It starts sounding less of that predictable, which is a nice sound, but it's more interesting to me. Try that out, try and to add to your dominant soloing ideas. All the best. Thanks again. See you next time.
Hey Jazz Guitar Addiction guys and gals, this is Taylor Roberts with a couple ideas on the whole tone scale and how you can apply it to dominant sharp 5 voicings. So for this video, I'm just going to use a G7 sharp 5. The first idea I stole from Wes Montgomery, where he takes the triad starting at the root, so augmented triad G, B, E flat, and he moves it up in whole steps, which you get to keep the same shape. It's very guitar friendly. This is what it would sound like. 2, 3, 4. Again, 2, 3, 4. Now take that a step further, rhythmically. This is another idea I stole from Kurt Rosenwinkel, where he'd take the same concept but apply a little bit more rhythmic complexity to it. This is what it would sound like. 2, 3, 4. Again, 2, 3, 4. Hope this helps. Thanks, guys.
I'm going to talk about 2 applications for the augmented sound. The first is playing it over a dominant chord with a sharp 5 and using a shape across the fretboard that's a little easier for me to get around on. This would be over A7 sharp 5. You can move that around by whole steps. The second application is using the augmented sound over a static chord, in this case D minor, and here's a little idea how to do that. So the idea here is play a phrase that you would play on minor and then play the augmented after it. I played Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the submissions.
Hey everyone over at Jazz Guitar Addiction, this is Harvey Valdes, and I'm going to show you guys how you could take two whole tone scales and combine them to create some really interesting modern outside sounding lines that you can use over any chord. So check it out. If you take a C whole tone scale, you get C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. Play another whole tone scale a half step away, starting on C sharp, you get C sharp, D sharp, F, G, A, and B. So together. Now, each whole tone scale on its own has 6 tones. So if you combine both of them, you end up with 12 tones, which essentially is a chromatic scale. But the interesting thing is this: since you're coming from this whole tone angle, you could really explore this major third symmetry that's happening inside of the whole tone scale that gives it its character. So whole tone on its own doesn't sit in one key. So if you take two whole tone scales together, it's like combining them to join forces and create this super 8-tonal whole tone scale, which will not even sit in an even key even further, which makes things pretty interesting. It gets into a territory of getting a more outside, modern, chromatic sounding lines over basically any chord. So check that out. It's a real interesting way. Get the scale into your fingers and start exploring. It's a really fun way to get some outside modern lines from the whole tone scale.
Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Jazz Guitar Addiction video with the topic being whole tone or augmented scale applications. I'm going to talk about the augmented symmetrical scale. I'll be giving you a lick that's a derivation off of that scale. The key with this whole arena is using the sharp 5. And the sharp 5 will drive the whole tone and augmented scales. If I play a C major 7 sharp 5 and I play the little lick against it, you could also add an A in the bass and make it an A minor major 7th. And then here's the augmented symmetrical scale against that C major 7 sharp 5. So I'll be inserting a picture file for you to look at. You could also use this on a 7 sharp 5. The key here is going to be the sharp 5, and that'll trigger any kind of augmented or whole tone scale, such as. Hope you find it helpful. See you next time.
Hi guys, thanks for having me in this collaboration on whole tone scale. Let me just first try and play the example that I made, and then talk about why I made it the way it is and how I think about using the whole tone scale. So the thinking behind this is that whenever I'm playing a symmetrical scale, I kind of try to work on how to use it in a non-symmetrical way. So I try to not spend my time making patterns that I can repeat, because I find that a little bit boring and sounding, and the melodies get too predictable for my taste. I like to work more from having a musical context and then just seeing how the different notes sound in that context and work on it from that perspective. And then you can always start messing around with symmetrical things, because you can also use them better when you know what they sound like really. The arpeggio, the structure that I'm using in this is a dominant 7th flat 5 arpeggio, so that would be something like this. Of course you can play that in many ways. I think the way I played it in this example was this, and then I just mix it up with a bit of scale before I resolve to the 9 on the C. And I think this illustrates how I try to work on whole tone scale, and maybe an approach that not that many people think of when working on it.
Hi, Dave Askren here with our weekly mini lesson. The topic this week is augmented. So to get into augmented fast on an arpeggio, I'll just do a 2-octave C major arpeggio. If I sharp all my 5s, I've got augmented. To get into my scale, I've got a great guitar trick, first finger and third finger moving across the neck. I can play all whole steps for a whole tone scale. Now any kind of little melodic motif I come up with using the whole tone scale can be moved up in seconds and it'll stay in the same scale. Easy on guitar. So here's a great trick. I'll use C augmented with its relative minor, A minor. The C's flat 3 in A, the E's the 5, and the G sharp gives me my major 7. So let's get a little Bob Moses going and see about our minor major 7 sound in A using C augmented. The licks. C augmented used for A melodic minor.
Okay, whole tones. I absolutely love whole tones because they have that dissonant sound, and I love dissonance. And the best way for me to explain whole tones would be is when I did a record called Taking the Duke Out. Now, the first tune was Satin Doll. Satin Doll was D minor 7 to G7. So I took that D minor 7 and made it a D minor major 7. Then I added the G, which is the 11th, and now it's an A7 sharp 5, which comes right out of a whole tone scale. So I went. And then I made that a C mate 6/9 flat 5 or augmented 11. So I have whole tones. So but then if I stick to whole tones, I'm limiting myself. So now I'm thinking, okay, that's A7 sharp 5, flat 5 sub, B flat 9, B flat minor 7. So I got. Okay, so now I have the C7. And now I did the E flat 7. So now I have F sharp 7. And then I can take all of those and make them minor 7ths. Okay, went too far. That's it. Okay.
Hello, this is some ideas on the whole tone scale. I'm Jason Argos, and with the whole tone scale, you can play the augmented chord up along the whole tone scale. You can add this. Now, because I'm Jason Argos, I want to add a little bass line, and we're going to go like this. For the whole tone scale.